Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Okay, we're going to start with introducing... should we introduce him or should we just give a breakdown of how we go? Okay, we got a man on with us now who is a 10... Is it 10? I'm going to get this wrong now, probably. 10-time world Muay Thai Champion, John Wayne Parr. I will just say that much because you're more than that, sir. You're obviously a father. You know, you're a husband, and you have, you've also you start to integrate yourself in the world more mainstream. I think thanks to Mr. Joe Rogan and his podcast. That's how me and Mike got the pleasure of finding out about yourself. But do you want to give people a breakdown a little bit more of the stuff that you've done with your skill set?
Yeah, sure. My name's John Wayne Parr. I've been doing martial arts since the age of 11. I started Taekwondo for a couple of years. I went to Muay Thai when I was 13. Since then, I've been lucky enough to... I trained for about 3 or 4 years, had about half a dozen fights, picked up an Australian title. A couple of years later, picked up an South Pacific title. And then I was very lucky to be sponsored and moved to Thailand at 19 years old. At first, I was going to go and live over there for 6 months. So I went over there, had 5 fights, 5 wins, 4 knockouts. And then so that was pretty cool. So I came back to Australia. And then the Thai camp that I was living at, they said, hey, he shows a lot of promise. Do you mind sending him back again? So instead of this 6 months, the next time I went was for 12 months. And this time I had another 9 fights. One half, I started fighting the top class Thai in. But and then ended up staying there for 4 years full time, and then another year on and off. So all up 5 years in Bangkok. And in that time, I had approximately 45 fights, picking up 2 world titles in Bangkok. I got to do a lot of first time stuff for Westerners and also for Australia. I got to be the first Australian to fight at the famous Lupini Stadium and fight on King's birthdays, and fought numerous times on Thai TV and made the front cover of the Muay Thai magazines. Came to Australia, opened up a gym. That was going really well. And then started getting fight offers to fight all over the world. So I started fighting regularly in Japan. And was lucky enough to fight there 16 times. And then been all over Europe, England, France, Holland, Italy, Jamaica, America, New Zealand, Korea. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to be everywhere. It's been really cool. It's been an adventure. And going to stay. And beating people up. It's a good career.
You've not had a bad career. It's not going too bad, and you're still going. That's the thing as well.
It seems to pretty much bought you an airline ticket just about everywhere.
Very, very lucky. One of the main things in my career is to see the world for free, and so far I've like that free pass. And one of the jobs too. If not through fighting, through seminars. So it's been. I was 19 years old. It's very daunting to tell your parents that you're going to go to Thailand for 6 months and this is going to be my new career path. They sort of look down at you and frown and think it's just going to be a little bit of a fun way where you go and play fighting. And then when I got back from Thailand the first trip, Mum goes, "Okay, you've had your little play fights now. It's time to settle down and get an apprenticeship and start thinking of your future in case the fight doesn't work out." So, Mum, I'm really good. I think I can go a long way in this sport. You got to believe in me. So lucky I didn't take her advice, and I kept following my life dream. And then it's worked out amazingly. Mum, to this day, Mum goes, "I'm so glad you did listen to me when you were younger. I can't believe how far you've gone in the sport." It's
and for people at home, they can also watch I watched the documentary Blessed with Venom, which kind of, you described obviously what you've done, and that documentary kind of dictates what you did, and it goes into depth about some of the fights that you had, the kind of poignant fights with like Yo Sinclair, the trilogy, so to speak, and I loved it. I really enjoyed watching it. Getting to see you going back as well to where you started, and your face as well, talking about it. You're very engaging when you talk about the passion and the history that you came up around.
I was lucky enough to be in the gym, and then a friend of mine who had his son training with us at the time, we were talking about Thailand and some of the adventures that I had, and he said, hey, I know some pretty influential people. Do you want me to hit them up and see if we can get this thing on film? So, oh man, that'd be awesome. So they had a bit of need and said, yeah, let's do it. So we bought 4 or 5 plane tickets, and we all left for Thailand for 10 days, and then we had no script, no sort of idea what we were doing. We arrived at the hotel. The next morning we woke up for breakfast, and then the main producers said, can you write down all the names and all the places that we should go and all the people you think we should interview? So I put pen to paper, and I said, well, I think these people will be pretty interesting. So they called one by one, and it just so happened every single person that he rang happened to be home or happened to be available for the interview. Even Sanchai was down at Phuket at that time. He flew up to Bangkok just for the interview to come and hang out for a couple of hours and then flew back again. Songchai just happened to be there, the main promoter of Thailand, to talk about my career at the time. So, and it took about 8 months after they finished filming. It took about 8 months in the production room to put it all together. And then when it was released, they showed it to it just happened to bump into one of the guys that runs the cinemas here in Australia. He asked if he could have a sneak peek view. He really liked it, and he decided, hey, look, if you guys are happy, I'd love to put it in cinemas in Australia for 2 weeks. It was originally going to be 2 days, but because it was kept selling out, it ended up running for 2 weeks. So, but once they hit the DVDs, they sort of dropped the ball. They got a bit greedy, and they tried to just do it from a website and didn't really move many units. So instead, I decided to put it on YouTube for free so the world could see it. But it's too good of a story not to share.
It is, and do you know what? We'll post it on our Facebook page as well for ladies and gentlemen that haven't seen it yet. It's like you say, it just was quite interesting to see, obviously, how you trained, where you trained, the fact that you weren't at what they have these days is like I like to call these super gyms that some places have, where they have just everything catered for. You literally had wooden floors, and that was pretty much that was your luxury, was having a floor to lie on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was completely different back then too. The Muay Thai scene in the 90s is not what it is now. Back then, it was none of the camps wanted a foreigner in their camp because they didn't want to teach the Westerners the secrets of the proper Muay Thai. There was only probably 2 gyms in all of Thailand that accepted the Westerners. They were the smart ones, and now it seems these days every single camp needs Westerners to survive, to make an income, a steady income. And then there was no luxuries. We were sleeping on the floor, eating on the floor. They didn't even own chairs, so there was no beds. You'd have to sleep side by side next to other Thai boxes, maybe between 8 and 10 guys in the room. Yeah, you had the little toilet. They had to squat over a toilet and then pour water into your hand to wipe your bum. So it's very, very caveman era. But at the same time, it made you hungry, it made you strong, it made you almost primal. So when it comes time to fight, you were just so raw and so ready to try and strive to achieve, because every time you fought, your prize money increased, even if it was only by a few thousand baht. And then every time you fought, I started off at 1,000 baht, which is approximately $50. Then my next fight, I went to 2,000, and then I was lucky enough to be picked up by Songchai, so my prize money went to 10,000 baht, then 20s and 30s and 70s. And then I was very lucky for my last time I fought in Thailand. I fought in an 8-man tournament where I had to fight 3 different guys in a period of 2 hours. I was lucky enough to beat all 3 and end up winning $1 million baht, which is approximately 35,000 Australian dollars. So I think I'm the only Westerner ever to win that large amount of prize money in Thailand. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now, because of the way the sport works, I believe that the gym actually owns you. Is that right? And they take.
Yes.
Yeah, is that where they take? Is it half your money from? So when you start off, they would take, say, if you got 1,000, if you earn 1,000, they'd take 500. But then if you earn $1 million, they'd take $500,000.
Yeah, that's the sucky part.
Yeah, that's where you got to sleep in the wet patch bit, yeah.
Yeah, so we had, when when I first got picked up at 19, I never in my wildest dreams thought I was going to be successful. I was just trying to train, trying to learn techniques, trying to get fit, taking fight by fight, and then I was lucky enough to climb the ranks and fight against the top Thais, and I got entered into this 8-man tournament. I wasn't even interviewed or didn't make any of the commercials or the posters. There was Skabowski and another Thai called Surya that were the two favourites, and the whole focus was on those two guys. And then they ended up drawing each other first, so they fought each other first. So once Skabowski beat Surya, then I was pretty much, he was the only one that we had to look out for. And then I was fighting him in the next fight after I fought the Russian. So yeah, it was. It just happened to be, I was on fire that day. I trained really hard and really focused. I didn't get any injuries, and then it's really funny. I fought 3 times on the Thai one. I picked up the win. 2 weeks later, I travelled to Italy, and I fought a promotion called Super League, and I won that one against Fadi Mirza. I flew back to Australia, and then I got asked if I'd like to fight on K1. 10 days later, I flew to Japan, fought on K1 and fought Dwayne Ludwig. So I ended up having 5 fights in 4 weeks for 5 wins, and I think there was three knockouts. So yeah, it was amazing. It was the best trip ever.
Oh, I bet your body thanked you. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, so 5 fights in 3 countries. It was mad.
God, that's some sort of tour.
That is some hell of a tour, man. And you mentioned, like you said, Dwayne Ludwig, who is a very, very good technical striker and he's a very good coach now. He's evolved into this kind of sought after coach, and that brings me on to you in Australia. You set yourself up in Australia. You're your own coach, and you are now teaching the ways of the next generation, so to speak, but you're also teaching your little one who can beat your ass, it seems. I've seen on Instagram.
So got back to Australia in end of '99, and then it was pretty much I'd been there in Thailand for 4 years. I was time to move back home, trying to be a Westerner again, trying to be a Falang again. So I needed somewhere to train. So with the help of my sponsors, we opened a gym. So then I had to learn how to teach classes, and I just had to guess what to do for the first few months until I made a system. I had to guess prices, guess what to teach. I got my pads. I got my friends to hold pads for me. I had to teach them how to hold pads, and then it's been that way ever since. I teach. I not only train myself and make my own game plans and tell my friends how I want the pads held for me, but I also have to look after another 20 fighters underneath me that I also manage and teach and train, and then I also have to teach the beginner classes and all the PTs, and then we also have our promotions on top of that as well. So we have little amateur shows plus our CMT promotions where we fight in the cage now. So it gets very. Plus, I'm trying to raise a family as well, so it gets it's crazy.
Well, it's great that you got the balance where you've integrated your family into. Obviously, your partner as well she can kick your ass as well, so it kind of helps.
Yeah. She wishes she could my ass.
What I want to know is
she has the power of not feeding me, so that's where she wins.
What I want to know is it a posh gym? I mean, do you have toilet roll in the toilet, or do you still have to put the water in the hand?
I've been being back in Australia. I've been Westernized again. I've got soft. In Thailand, it was because when we had the shower, we'd pour the water in ourselves. We'd have to lather up with the soap. We'd pour the water, but give ourselves a rinse off. And it was never hot water. Never had any hot water unless I went on holidays to Pattaya or somewhere for get a hotel. But majority of the time, it was. It was crazy. And then what you have for dinner is what you have for breakfast. Thai food is Thai food. There's no toast. There's no cornflakes. There's no wheat bix. It's just it's so hard. It's such a different world. But at the same time, everything's fresh, and there's not much sugar. So all the produce and all the fresh fish and fresh vegetables. So you feel healthy because you're eating properly. You're drinking lots of water. And all you're doing is waking up, training, eating, sleeping, and then it's the greatest lifestyle ever.
Although having said that, it sounds tough, but do you think that tough living helps to then make you a tougher fighter?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then also watching the Thais train as well, you be inspired because you see how hard they train and then you see how hard they fight. They might take an elbow to the forehead where they have to receive 20, 30 stitches. But when they're fighting, they don't even blink an eye. Their blood's pouring down their face, and they're literally furious if the referee steps in to take them to the doctor to be checked, because they don't want the fight stopped. They know how important it is. Every single fight they have to perform if they want to get more prize money and to become a superstar.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to go out to Thailand a number of years ago, and while I was out there, I ended up in Koh Samui at one point, and I said, "Oh, there's a Muay Thai night over there. Let's go and check it out," and I basically dragged them all along there, and we watched it, and I'd been to loads of boxing and judo and other martial arts, but I couldn't believe what I was seeing there that night. I remember some guy getting knocked unconscious, and they had no stretcher. They dragged him through the ropes, and so at the end of this fight, I thought, "Oh, great! I've got a quick chance to go for a piss." So I'm running down to go for a piss, and the fight was being held. It looked like in a workshop, warehouse or something.
Oh, jeez.
And they've got these bays where you'd be working on different things, and there they are trying to wake him up still. And I thought to myself, like, this is different to anything I'd seen before. Like, it was. Having said that, it was fantastic as well. Like, I thought to myself, the rawness of it, how it was like.
Yeah, reminds you of Bloodsport a bit with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
But I remember one fight where this guy just seemed to just throw the fight in, and I said to someone, like, why did he give up so easy? And he went, "Oh, he's behind. He realised he couldn't win this fight, so he just threw it in, so that way he doesn't get beaten up and he can fight again next week." And I was like, "Next week? Christ, it's mad." But they said, like, you literally, you don't want to get cut or anything like that, so that you can keep fighting sort of like every week or 10 days or whatever it is. Like, it's. But no, I loved it. It's.
Yeah, the islands are a little bit different to Bangkok too. So everyone aspires to one day reach Bangkok, because Bangkok's your elite level. Once you reach the Bangkok, then you've made it, sort of thing. So the fight at Roger Lumdurn Stadium and the fight on Thai TV, that's when you become sort of superstar status, and that's when your prize money jumps up considerable. And then but the little fight shows down in the islands and stuff, you have to be very wary, because a lot of foreigners go over there, and the Thais are indestructible majority of the time. But for some reason, when they fight on the islands, the Westerner might land a body shot in the first round, and you see the Thai lay down, and the referee's counting, and the Thai just lays there dead as if he's being hit by a shotgun. So what's going on? Why isn't this? And then you realise it's all business. It's all about money. It's all about treating the Westerners so they feel like they're the stars.
Yes.
And then the Thais talk to them later, "Hey, look, you look so good against your fight. You should stay here longer. You got potential to be a superstar. You can be a champion. Give us an extra 5,000 baht, and we'll extend your stay for another 2 months." It's all. And then they do it every week. It sucks, because when I was there, it was you dishonoured the country, you dishonoured the sport, you dishonoured the king if the Thai lost against the Westerner. It was and you'd get heckled. The Thais would. For me, it was okay because I was winning, but the Thais couldn't face other Thais again. They just be called swear words, and it was you don't want to lose the Westerner back. But now it's just normal.
I remember the card that I went to. There was actually a tournament for the right to fight in Bangkok.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. If you want it, but it was, it was. I don't know. It was like the rawest sort of glove striking that I'd ever seen, like ever. Sort of, it was.
What I love about it is, like you said before about the clean eating and it looks after, because like we have sugar. Basically, we in the Western world have sugar, and that's why you find that the West, like you don't see a Muay Thai kind of guy who's 260 pounds. They're all like these, like 155 down. They're just all like super lightweight, or a kilo. Sorry, that you go from like it's literally like early 60s, I think it is, down. Is like it's the kind of and it's because they're just eating clean. They just don't get these giants walking around that do it, and I think. I think, but if we could eat clean, I think you'd find a bit better, sharper athletes in some of the guys in striking as well. Like, we're all human at the end of the day, and you post on Instagram, you look like Mr. Roy Nelson. Don't worry about it. We all feel that way right now.
Yeah. What happens in Thailand? They have a utility that's full of food, full of fresh fish, meat, vegetables. And then that comes past your house every day. So instead of going to the shops and doing a week worth of shopping and putting in your fridge, you just buy what you need for today, and then tomorrow the truck will come past again, and then you buy your handful of meat, or your handful of pork, or your handful of prawns. It's so convenient, so it makes it a lot easier. And then there isn't a factory shopping centre where you buy your tin meat and your tin baked beans and your tin cans of sugar, like you said. So there's no other option but to eat healthy over there, which and you don't notice it at the time. Until you get back to the Western world, then you feel like, why do I feel like shit all the time? And then you're poisoning your body by what you put in your mouth.
Yeah,
and I suppose with the Thai children, they've had that from birth. Whereas from like the first 5 years, you've been living on chocolate and sweeties, like over in the Western world, and it's
that's why they get that kind. They taught Muay Thai from like as soon as they can stand up straight.
But that clean living right from the word go, like as well. You know what I mean? It's all they know. You know what I mean? And it's not like, oh Christ, I've got to give up this now and sacrifice this for this. It's like, well, it's no sacrifice. This is what you've been on since you were born. Like it's. Although, I mean, when I went out there, I didn't find the food that much of a sacrifice. I found it really nice. Like,
that's the thing. I noticed when I had to, when I was cutting weight for fights, when I had to obviously clean my eating, then I noticed it a lot more when I'm eating a lot cleaner when I'm cutting weight. It just absolutely just shocks my body. My body feels energized, but it just shocks it because I crave obviously that sugar because in the Western world you're just used to it and you want it, you see. So it's one of them things you think to yourself, fuck, if I never had that craving, if my mum wasn't a hippopotamus and just didn't feed me crap, I'd probably be a shredded machine, like. But I think if people were like taught that way, we'd have better, like say when people went to Thailand to start off their Muay Thai career, they'd probably be a little bit fitter if they had a bit more better nutrition.
A few steps ahead, like.
Do you look after the guys, if any of them want to go off obviously to Thailand that you trained and maybe do some stuff, do you look after them in that way of preparing them for the way they train there with the nutrition and stuff like that?
Starts hiding the toilet rolls.
It's all changed now. Everyone has their own room, has their own bed, has their own shower, has their own TV and Wi-Fi. When I was there was no internet, so there was no Facebook, there was no distractions. If you wanted to entertain yourself, you had to read a book or listen to your Walkman. So it sucked.
Hey, it does suck because I can't read Thai, so you must have been having a really, really hard time then.
When I first got there, I couldn't speak Thai either, so now I could speak English in the district I was in. I had to learn how to use sign language, basic sign language, to show people if I was hungry, sleepy, tired, shower, and then slowly I started asking questions, what's this, what's that, and learned word by word, and then I started learning sentences, and then now I can speak fluent Thai, so I got to the stage I was speaking so much Thai, I started thinking Thai, and I started dreaming in Thai. That's when I knew it was time to come home. I'm transforming.
Now, I was going to say, it seems now that, we've now seen the Vegas promotion of Lion have turned up.
Lion fights, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to go to one when I was out. I was out there for
168, was it?
No, it was after that one. I was out there for a UFC, and I got given a ticket to Lion. Which one was it? Oh, it was when John Jones was supposed to be fighting Anthony Johnson.
Right. Okay.
I think that was about June, something like that, June or July, and it was amazing. And I couldn't believe I got to talk to some of the fighters as well, and everyone was like dead friendly. There was no. after the fights, I mean, don't get me wrong. With martial artists, you don't tend to find an awful lot of ego after fights anyway. But yeah, it's no, I loved it.
I like the fact that it's slowly starting to transition into I say the mainstream, but I say into like America and even the UK because the Glory came to the UK.
That's right. Yeah,
when they did their tour.
Bonyaski.
Yeah, they did their tour a little while back and stuff, and it's just nice to see that. It's going to take time. For some reason, it's still going to take time. I don't know why, because at the end of the day, punch and kicks are fucking awesome. And why people?
Do you know what it is? It's all fat guys in suits.
I know.
That's what it is.
But
it's all fat guys in suits. You've got to.
But Mike, you're not wearing a suit.
I'm not old either. I'm not fat. This is my winter coat.
It's a winter coat. No, but it's nice to see it. Do you feel like you probably helped? I feel in that way of getting it into the Western world. Let's say, let's put it that way, because you're not from Thailand. Do you think that's probably why the transition was hard? Because no one, if you're not from Thailand, you're not possibly going to follow it as much.
Yeah, it's tough. You have to be a die-hard fan to sort of to do the Thailand stuff, and then they come back, and then it's almost heartbreaking because you see where the UFC are now, and even if you look at Conor McGregor's making $3 million plus a fight.
Yeah.
And end of the day, he's only had 21 fights.
Yeah.
I've had 123, and I'm still I don't own one Lamborghini. He's got like 7. So it's like, bloody hell, this sucks.
It's because you can't remember where he leaves them.
Yeah, so
I know. Isn't it crazy though?
It's just being in the right place at the right time, and UFC's taken off. Not MMA. MMA's still sort of getting there, but UFC is just
as a brand,
identity.
Yeah.
But I don't think so much of UFC taking off. It was Conor McGregor's taken off. I mean, don't get me wrong. UFC has grown.
Even George. I got to hang out with George St. Pierre for a while, and even he's in the same boat. You look at him and how famous he is. He can't walk down the street without getting stopped 50 times trying to walk 10 meters. The exposure that UFC gives their fighters and their superstars is ridiculous. So, and with Muay Thai, we don't get that exposure at all. We can fight the best guys in the world for multiple years on end, and lucky to get 1,500 people at a venue here in Australia. So it's hard work.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, honestly, it's weird that the way that hasn't transitioned over. But then again, I suppose that, like you say, it is marketing is the key. It's how people sell.
Yes.
Yes, Conor McGregor's became a big star, but at the same time, you've probably helped as well. Like I say, bring it into our eyes, so to speak. I say like the Western world. But then again, with the UFC, we needed some of those original guys to step in there, like your Tank Abbott's and stuff, to fight to get to where Conor is. So you kind of need founding fathers, I like to call them, the guys who go out there first, and they're not going to get the 7 Lamborghinis to start with, but eventually there is going to be someone like that. You could say that with any sport, really, to begin with. What we'd like to talk about as well is it's your transition from competing in Thailand, and like I said, you've now got the coaching, you've got the gym yourself, you're still competing, but also you've moved from basically using a ring to a cage, which I found interesting with your own, doing your own promotion and stuff. Why did you do that? What was it? Because it seems like you'd love to do an MMA bout, but you just obviously you've got the Muay Thai skills, so it's like feels like it's the closest you're gonna do.
Yes, exactly. Being a massive fan of UFC, you get to see these guys fight in like the ultimate arena. The ring's good, the ring's fun, but to fight in a cage, I remember being 6 years old watching Rock and Roll Wrestling, watching Hulk Hogan fight in the cage. It always seemed like the next level and the ultimate sort of fighting arena. So, and there's no opportunities for us pure Muay Thai fighters to do it. I contemplated doing MMA. I did a jiu-jitsu class, and my first jiu-jitsu class, I break my index finger in half. So that turned me off it completely. It's like, how the hell, I want to fight in the cage, but I don't really want to do jiu-jitsu again. It's too, and then I got to start from, I've had all these fights in Muay Thai, travel the world, but if I do MMA, I have to start from the baby class again. I have to start from the bottom.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I do promotions already. What's the difference between hiring a ring and hiring a cage, and we'll just keep it Muay Thai rules. So I had a quick look on YouTube to see if anyone had done it before, and they had kickboxing fights in the ring, but they wore proper boxing gloves, and it looked so strange after watching UFC every week. So I thought, if I do it properly, I want to do it with MMA gloves on, just to make sure that I have that same appeal as the MMA guys, and try and draw the MMA crowd over to us to show them what a league strikers look like, without having the fear of being taken down. So yeah, and so far we've done 7 shows, and it's just it's going from strength to strength. It's so violent and so fast and so much fun compared to MMA. It's really cool.
And with those little gloves, there's nowhere to hide, is there?
Yeah, it's crazy, and it hurts so bad too. So you need really good footwork. You need good defense. You can't stay in the pocket for too long, otherwise you might get caught with something crazy. I think it was 2 shows ago. I had 9 fights, and there was 7 knockouts, and then everybody that was winning eventually got knocked out somehow. Just they'd be complacent for that half a second, drop their hand, and get countered with a shot, and then just end up getting completely in la la land. So
yeah, I quite like
just goes
that.
to show you.
I like that you use your imagination to try and infiltrate, and the thing is with the cage as well, it does, it does give out. I love the fact I explain to people it does offer that safety, that you're not going to fall through the ropes, and the good thing is as well, I watched because your last bout was in a cage, wasn't it, where you got the finish? But was it a body? You finally dropped him the last one. Was it a body kick or a punch to the body off the top of my head?
A right hook. I dropped the first knockdown was the uppercut, and then I just sort of jumped on him from there to get another 2 knockdowns. So yeah, majority were just punches.
Do you quite enjoy being in the cage yourself? Then when you fight, do you find that, like you say, it's fast, it's just so intense? Do you quite enjoy it when you? I'm not saying do you prefer it. I'm just saying, did you enjoy it when you were in the cage, when you started getting used to it?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. I've got the cage set up in my gym now. So we took the ring down, put it to the side, and it's a lot bigger too. So a ring from rope to rope is 5 meters, and then my cage is 7.5 meters across, so I can fit more people in there to train at the same time. And it also, there's no rope, so you can't be lazy.
Yes.
You have no other option but to engage on the pads and in sparring. You don't want to be pushed into the cage. You always want to dominate the center of the cage as well, so you're in control. So it's very, and then with MMA compared to what I'm doing with the CMT, there's no stalling. So if someone gets pushed up against the fence, within 3 seconds, if there's no action, the referee steps and separates the fighters too. So it's constant action. There's no long periods where nothing's going on.
Well, that's the thing. For people who don't know, there is stuff going on, but it's that technical. If they don't know Muay Thai, they won't know that nothing's going on. Like fighting for an underhook or the knees and stuff. That it is a very it's an art form in itself that people won't understand unless they went to Thailand and they've studied the art itself. I train Muay Thai over here, and it's with our coach. The coach that trained us. He actually went to Thailand and competed as well. And his missus went over as well, and she won a title, and he hasn't. So we keep saying she'll kick his ass. Yeah. Keep looking for it. But yeah, and again, the clinch games, it's just completely. It's like a new art. It's like a new martial art in itself.
Yeah, it's so hard. If you get a good Thai that knows how to throw knees hard too, and then the worst part is if you're say 80 kilos and you don't know what you're doing, and you go to Thailand and you get some young 50-kilo kid. And you almost feel sorry for him, and then the round starts, and then next minute you're on the ground every 15 seconds, just being totally dominated by some young guy. It's very humiliating.
Yeah, it is. My neck's a mess when he's finished with me, and he's tiny as well.
Humbling. Yeah.
It is. His coach is tiny, and I'm just like I can't handle this. I can't handle how he just manhandles me, but. You got to learn the game, but what I like is the fact that you've got the passion in MMA, the passion with the UFC that you've got, and it, like I said to you dealt with George St. Pierre in a manner of you helped with a bit of sparring technique and stuff like that. And have you found that, like, I know you spoke about it before, but have you not found like maybe Jake Matthews, I know trains in Australia, has he maybe contacted you? Has there been any other UFC fighters within Australia that have maybe tried to come down and just maybe do some sparring with you and stuff?
I have Dylan Andrews. He's popped down to the gym a few times. He's not with the UFC anymore, but he's still striving to get back in there.
Yeah.
Who else? I've had it's funny, the Australian guy is not really hitting that much. But Ross Pearson's I've done a little work with Ross Pearson when he's been in Australia.
Nice.
I've done some stuff with Brandon Vera. He actually flew me down to Sydney for a weekend just to train him personally, which was really cool. And then when Jake Shields came to Australia as well, he hit me up for a private lesson. So yeah,
I imagine
he wasn't the one that did your finger, was he? Yeah,
I can imagine Brendan Vera kicks like a mule.
Yeah, he's a beast. He just won the ONE FC World
Yeah.
Title. So,
Yeah, he just won. Yeah,
he's looking vicious.
he's looking good. Back it up at heavyweight. He's at that.
I think he's one of those ones that feels comfortable at heavyweight, even though he's probably more a light heavy.
He's funny, isn't that? He's in that middle gap, isn't he? Where they need
He needs a 235 class.
They need another weight class for him, and he would have been probably a champion a long time ago in the UFC if they had that middle gap.
Yeah.
But
Yes. Yep.
you've probably heard the rumblings of the new weight class idea and the hydration, the weight cutting kind of summit that they had. And
Yes.
what's your take on it then with MMA? Because obviously guys cut way too much weight and this stuff. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard. I myself, I like getting the IVs after a big weight cut. It just helps you replenish faster. But at the same time, it makes sense. You don't want people having to cut dramatic amounts. But at the same time, you don't want to be a little guy when it's time to fight. You want to be the big guy that loses a lot of weight in the bell rings. You want to be the big guy. You don't want to be the little guy. It's very important because if you have any little advantage, whether it be a couple of kilos. So, and then with ONE FC too, I think they announced last week that they want to have nobody losing weight. Everybody's going to fight at the natural walk around weight.
Yep.
They're going to try and implement that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very tough. That's going to be
Yes.
so hard to watch the fighters and expensive too, especially if they want to fly officials out to the fighters' hometowns and check their weight 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before, 1 week before. It's going to be hard to mandate. It
is. I agree with you. That's the challenging thing. I want to try and get someone like Rich Franklin or even Matt Hume, who deals with the ONE FC, on to talk about that, because you've got to think about the roster, and they're going to keep an eye on everyone's weight all year round. And you think, well, there's certain times a year that I might not want to eat clean. I might want to put a couple of pounds on.
Yeah, and then every single champion that's not a heavyweight right now, they'll probably do the 20-pound cut or 15-pound cut. So for them to be on weight 3 weeks before, I can't see them maintaining their titles for very long.
No, I think Ben Askren might have to probably go up to middleweight. You know, it's one of them ones where everyone might have to bump up one. It's a strange one, really, that they've implemented, because they came out with the guidelines, but everyone straight away went, what happens with the champions? And they kind of haven't come out with that, because I think they've even everyone's contracts technically is voided, because if you sign a contract, everything they're stating now is changing, so they'll have to sign new contracts. I think it's you know what, I like the fact that they're doing something though. You know, they're taking
something needed to change. It might not be the final way it's going to end up, but at least they've taken that step.
Yeah, they're going to fuck up, and everyone's going to. No one's going to get it right the first time. You know what? At least someone's making the effort, and maybe if they make the mistakes and we can all learn from their mistakes, that's fine. At least someone's doing it.
Yeah. It's definitely a good idea. So many times I ask myself, what the hell am I doing? Because sometimes I've done 14 kilos in 10 weeks, and the most I've done is, what did I do? I was 91 and a half, and I had to be 72 and a half in 10 weeks, so nearly 20 kilos. That was, and luckily I got it off not too bad, but at the same time, it's like, this sucks. It's
I'm with you on that.
But then you got your focus. You know where you have to be. So but it makes sense. I think it's a good idea. It's just going to be hard to implement for the first year or so.
Yeah, I do. I think I did. That would be 15 kilos in just 15 days. I think I did. That was the biggest one I did.
Oh, jeez.
That was dog shit.
Bloody hell.
My body was just failed on me. Like, I should have probably went to the hospital, but you know what? The thing is, that's why I'm glad that these applications are coming in, and people are getting educated more on the weight cutting aspect, and with the weight classes, maybe the UFC, hopefully, I would like to see them actually introduce other weight classes. I don't know about yourself, John. Would you like to see maybe a smaller gap between, like, for example, you got
Yeah,
middleweights 185 and then light heavyweights 205. Why don't they have a 195?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. Definitely open up the playing field.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah,
and even bring in some more female weights as well.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Well,
you can imagine their roster as it is already, with so many fighters and so many people chomping at the bit to try and get in. The more chaos they have with they introduce more weight categories. So I think it's hard enough trying to control it now, let alone bringing in more.
Yeah. Well, if they brought the 125 in for the ladies, Joanna Jacek, she could do the 125 as well, because she did that before she went into the UFC. I don't know if you know this, John, but she fought a girl called Rosie Sexton, who's a British girl, on a promotion called Cage Warriors.
Over in the UK,
in the UK, in the 125 division. And I tell you what,
she looked ferocious.
Absolutely mauled.
Yeah,
this Rosie Sexton.
It looked like you'd nicked her handbag or something. And
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, you know, it's Oh, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, honestly, But then again, when you watch someone like Joanna compete, do you get a bit of I don't know, a bit of pride when you go, yeah, Muay Thai's kicking ass kind of thing? Because she's beautiful to watch, beautiful violence it is.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's and then definitely complements what we do as a sport, and then you can see it put combinations together, or finish with a nice kick or a knee or an elbow. So yeah, it's definitely very, very nice.
Well, they're actually talking about her and saying that she might actually have some of the best striking in the whole of the UFC throughout, like, you know, including the guys.
Yeah, I'm so glad. It's because they were saying that about Ronda there for a while. I was like, oh, geez, really? She's a phenomenal judo, and then her jiu-jitsu is amazing as well. But yeah, when they talk about elite striking and fighting Floyd, it's like, oh, just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
You must have. But then again, it's all PR. That's what it is. They have to sell the fights on. You have to. But the thing is, to the average nobody, she probably does look like God's gift, because look what she did to Betch and Sarah McMahon, and you know, Alexis Davis.
It's easy to fall into the.
It's easy to fall into the hype.
You know,
But then you finally got Holly Holm, and she kind of did.
No one gave a chance to.
She did all right. She did okay.
But you know what? No one's giving Ronda Rousey a chance in the rematch, are they? Not really. I know where the money's going.
But the thing is, you can't really give her a chance, because
if she's so one-sided.
If she's accepting the fight again for the UFC 200 in July, that's not enough time to recover and get the skill set required. She'll never have the striking ability to beat Holly, though.
Especially if you're spending half of it in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she came out with that quote saying that she wanted to stand and bang with Holly to show that she was an elite striker as well. Yeah. So she pretty much dug her own grave before the fight started. Just
you know
her ego took over. She believed the hype. She believed that she could stand there. Everyone's saying, "Oh, you can fight Floyd. You'd beat Floyd." I'm going to stand with Holly and prove that I'm an elite with boxing. Where Holly's had 37 boxing fights and something like another 35 Muay Thai fights. So, it's just madness. I was lucky enough to be ringside for that. It was insane. I got to witness history. I was a meter from the cage. It was the greatest day of my life.
Yeah, I believe you had your phone out at the time, didn't you?
Yeah, it was nuts. It was pure madness. Just because my daughter was a massive Ronda fan, and we. To tell you the truth, I really didn't think Holly. I thought she was a bit raw. Her first two fights in UFC, she looked a little bit nervous. Whereas this one, she brought her A game and looked fantastic. She didn't look just the perfect game plan. Everything worked. Everything. And a southpaw too to throw another spanner in the works. It was just amazing.
Yeah, that southpaw is huge.
I tell you what, it wasn't just you that didn't think. No one thought she was going to do it.
Like you caught
know.
on camera, Joe Rogan's expression just pretty much said it all.
I think that was everyone's expression. yeah, pretty much around the world. Like if you'd knocked on anyone that was had the UFC on at that point, that's the look they'd have had. It was. Oh dear.
I was lucky enough to fly to America for the Zagano fight.
Oh,
so
nice.
Got all the way there, got to the stadium, and then the fight lasted 13 seconds or 14 seconds. It's like, and because Zagano's got pretty good Muay Thai as well, I'm thinking, here we go. This one's for the Muay Thai guys. This is going to be awesome. And then the bell rang, and she ran across the ring and jumped straight into Ronda's arms, and then the fight was over before it started. It's like, what the hell just happened there? So. Yeah,
that's one of the fights. That's one of the ones that are the biggest shames. That fight was one of the big shames. I think that could have been a great fight to watch because she is a warrior, Katsungaro. She can literally brawl. That fight with Tate was unreal.
I tell you what, you got a bargain. That was actually 14 seconds. I got 13 seconds at the Conor McGregor fight. I went out to Vegas for the Aldo McGregor fight, and
oh jeez.
Yeah, so you got an extra second than me. so you're actually quids in.
You were spoiled. You got spoiled, is what you got.
yeah. It's you got like 8% more or whatever it was, something like that.
But do you know that was one of the oh shit moments was the Conor McGregor knocking Aldo out. But we've been talking since the end. It's come up to the end of the year, pretty much. We're nearly there. Was there any other fights or moments for you that stood out this year that you can remember from the UFC?
From the UFC, when did Dillashaw beat the other guy?
Barao. He did do it. He did the second time this year.
Yes.
The second time he did it this year. Yeah, the first fight was last year. The second fight was this year.
Yeah, and then it was pretty much a repeat of the first fight. It was just,
did it even quicker.
He was perfect.
Yeah. But you saw Barao.
So, and then I thought Dos Santos would have fought better against Overeem. So I think Dos Santos could possibly be done soon. He hasn't looked too flashy his last couple of fights.
We said that as well. We said that he looks a bit. It's a couple of wars that the one thing that did it was the Cain Velasquez fight where he was just too tough for his own good and stayed in for too long and was just getting mauled.
He could have done with being knocked out a bit earlier.
Or his corner just thrown in the towel, even though the last thing you want is that. But
saving him,
saves the guy for maybe saves him another fight or so.
Yeah, since the first one was rough and the second one was even worse.
Oh yeah.
So it was tough. That was hard to watch.
And also, having said that, it seems what with the fact that Overeem obviously tested positive and he's now shrunk in size, literally.
Yeah, just not eating horse meat.
Yeah, it seems it's made it more technical.
Well, he's always been a technician.
But he's had to be more technical now, because he was saying
because he trains with Winklejohn, who are just technicians, that they're very masterful guys. And he said to them guys that have helped change his style, he said he used to obviously just be coming forward and just throw like...
He's got that patience about him now.
Yeah, it comes a bit with maturity, and also it comes with getting smacked in the face a few times. It helps as well.
Yeah. And I know I've heard rumours about Overeem's chin too. When he was with Golden Glory, they made sure that he had a really tight guard because if he was suspect to being KO'd a lot of the times too if he got crazy. And Golden Glory had him nice and tight where he was sort of staying a little shell. And looks like Winklejohn's got him back to fighting nice and tight again too, so he's not overexploded. When he fought Bigfoot,
that's right,
he was over anxious,
ferocious
and, had his hands down, taunting Bigfoot, and then same with when he fought Travis Brown too. In the pre-fight interviews, he was talking about how easily he could knock him out with any single technique that he wanted to knock him out with. He could knock him out with whatever he wanted to. And then, just ego took over, and then he got a bit of humble pie. So now I think he's back to his roots. He knows he's not invincible anymore. Yeah. And then,
that's the thing. He's a very good Muay Thai, Dutch kickboxing striker. He's very good.
I was going to say with the Travis Brown fight, he was almost right.
He was almost
right. It was just for that little bit at the end where he lost.
Yeah.
But he was so squeaky close.
All Travis had was the front kick to the face. He threw it half a dozen times, just missing. It was the only technique that he had. So after the first or second front kick, Overeem should have been a bit more aware that it was coming eventually, and he had to be. And he walked straight onto it. It's like, man. surely you would have seen that, like the 12 other times that he threw it to you.
Yeah, I think he saw the finish line.
Yeah, he just probably had the
saw the finish line and basically reached for it before he got there, sort of thing. Like, and you know, you can't in the fight game, you can't do that, can you? You know.
And then now Travis Brown has since he had those good runs, he went to Glendale to train with the best coach in the world, Edmund, and he's not had the best success.
I think the girlfriend dragged him there.
Yeah. Well, she was a mistress at the time, and now it's a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because he was still married.
My goodness.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
It's getting into like a soap drama, sort of soap drama kind of scenario.
Sacrifices you make.
But was there any other fights as well that kind of, you know,
moments
that you enjoyed this year?
The Conor versus Chad Mendes fight card. That was probably the greatest fight card I've ever seen. It just got from strength to strength. Every single fight, every fight after got better and better and better. That was probably the fight show of the year. Back when Rory McDonald fought Lawler, that was mad. That was a crazy fight.
Yeah, that was.
I tell you what, I feel a little bit daft. I had a choice between going to Anthony Johnson against John Jones, which was what I chose because I thought that Anthony Johnson was going to knock out John Jones.
Yes.
So and it was Conor McGregor against Aldo, and I thought to myself that fight's not going to happen. I thought to myself that's going to fold. Yeah, so I gambled and went for John Jones against Andy Johnson, and that fight didn't happen. But I'd already committed to that one. And then, obviously, the Conor fight ended up fighting Mendes.
But it actually turned out really well.
But yeah. And you got the bargain of Robbie Lawler against Rory as well.
Which was...
that whole card was insane.
So when they rescheduled it for the end of the year, I was like, no way am I missing out on this one.
I'm not fucking up again.
Yeah. and of course, you got the other two cards as well on a Thursday and the Friday. And I tell you what, there was only a couple of bad fights. You know, when you think 34 fights, there was probably only 4 bad fights.
Well, not bad. There was one
really bad fight.
Gonzaga's fight was just woeful, but yeah.
I don't know. But you know, it was amazing week.
Before we let you go, John, what we'll do is, what would be the fights you'd like to see next year? If you could see some cool fights in the UFC, dude, what fights would you like to see?
I'm looking forward to Condon versus Lawler. That's going to be cool because Condon's got pretty mad Muay Thai skills himself.
Yeah.
And not long to wait.
That's next weekend.
Yeah. Even less for you because you're a day ahead almost.
Yeah.
Don't tell us what happens, will you?
Who else would be cool? Probably. Yeah, I want to see Frankie Edgar versus Conor. That'd be cool.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to see that though.
I don't think we're going to see it either.
We might see red panties.
Yeah,
versus
I think we might see Conor go up and fight. Yeah. I think that's where the
But I want to see Nate Diaz and Conor.
Yeah, I know. That first defense.
If they don't do
first
that,
defense.
No, if they don't do that fight, do you know what I want to see? I want to see Sage Northcutt versus Nate Diaz because I want to see Sage's face when he
when he starts talking about
just swearing, anything, just the profanity that he'll come out with. I just want to see Sage's face go.
I don't even know what they mean.
I don't know what they mean.
Oh dear! Oh, he's so raw, isn't he? That.
You're breaking up there again, John. Have you went back into that cave where you went to wipe your bum with the water? No, it's distorted still. This John Wayne Parr's moved 6 foot to the left.
Looks like R2-D2 is coming in, taking over and nicked your Skype off you.
I'm holding a finger in the sky. Is it better?
You're holding the phone in the sky. I know it's called Skype, but it doesn't mean it works better if you hold it in the sky.
What's that?
I'm standing on one hand. I'm standing on one leg on the other.
Are you trying to get nearer to the satellite?
Yeah.
Just stand on one foot and then put one hand on your head and then rub your belly with the other.
Do you know what? I feel guilty now that we're sat down. In fact, by you standing up, you're actually getting further away from us. Yeah.
Who else? Holly Holm, the rematch with Ronald. But there's also that girl, Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, Amanda Nunes, she's badass. Yeah,
she's scary. She's done some really good performances.
Yeah, she's 9-0 as well, so that'd be another one. And she looks like a beast on the ground and on her feet, so that'd be a very interesting fight.
Yeah, it's
there's a handful
and I
of
want to
fights.
see Kat come back.
Kat Zingano back as well.
With maybe a different game plan against anyone.
Yeah. But
Yeah, she would be regretting that for the rest of her life.
She
It's a
will.
big opportunity, and she friggin' stuffed it.
But there's a chance.
I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, there's a chance that she might get a stab at Holly now because because there's a new champ. It's like when Verdun won. More fights.
Exactly. Like Misha comes back into the equation.
Yeah, I just want to see Misha in her weighing on scales.
I got to meet her the other day.
And then drop it, and then I drop like 20. I drop some money on the floor to see her pick it up.
I actually got to meet Misha Tate not so long ago, and as I'm getting my photograph taken with her, I'm thinking, I just know how jealous John's getting at this very minute.
No, not really, because I would have probably just knocked out Caraway and jumped all over her and just kidnapped her.
He wasn't there.
Wasn't he?
there.
I would have just kidnapped her. The restraining order would have been worth it.
You know why, don't you?
And
Sterling was there. But.
yeah, so there's some awesome fights to make, I have to say. And John, it's before we let you go, can you just let people at home know? Obviously, we'll put on your documentary, let's say, the YouTube documentary on our Facebook page, which is Blessed with Venom. But can you let anyone know about your social media stuff? Also, any stuff you've got coming up, if you've got any fights coming up, any shows that you've got coming up in Australia, stuff like that?
Yeah, I'll possibly be fighting in England June 11 on Kieran Kettle's show at the O2 Arena against Michael Wakeling.
Might just have to get myself over for that.
I might be with the army then. That I'm not sure. I'll have to double check.
Is that on a Wednesday then, is it? I tell you what, I might just be free for that one, so I might have to drag myself over.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. And then Michael's I fought his brother Steve Wakeling back in 2005, and we had I lost on split points. So now Michael, he's been coming up the ranks. He's very strong. He's doing really well. He's going to be a very tough fight, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to get back over to the UK again and putting on hopefully a better performance this time and taking home the victory.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Oh yeah, I might just have to jump on a plane and pay a visit, because we're not actually in the UK where we are. We're just off the UK. We're on the Isle of Man,
okay.
And we tend to have loads of Aussies over here as well, which is kind of strange.
Nice.
Yeah, there seems to be a strange connection with the Isle of Man and Australia. Is kind of balmy, but for all the good reasons.
Yeah.
But
the O2 Arena should be insane as well. Just fighting there is just what a buzz to fight in something so massive.
Oh, I've been to a few fights in the O2, and
UFC went to the UFC.
Yeah, we would. And I'm off there again in February for the UFC.
Yeah.
We got a certain Anderson Silva coming over.
Yeah, Silva Bisping fight. Yeah,
that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one now. And so, what about if people are in Australia and they don't know about your gym yet, and they would maybe like to come across if they're on the other side or whatever? What's the where is it? How do people get there?
For sure, I'm on a place called the Gold Coast in Queensland. It's on the beach. It's very touristy. My rates are pretty cheap, and I take all the classes as well. So I'm not one of these gym owners that uses my name to try and draw people. I'm all hands on. I'll walk him out the door. I'll even help hold the pads and help spar. I got a good little family network in my gym, and then between me and my wife and my kids running around, and it's it's a very fun environment.
Yeah, that sounds fun until it's day of sparring.
When he
then we want you to take the day off.
When he said hands on, I kind of thought, nah, I'm all right, I'm okay.
Yeah. I'll just stay in the tourist area.
Awesome. And then for social media, Instagram, John Wayne Parr on Instagram, and then I have a athlete page on Facebook as well. It's got this. I try and keep everything pretty light, humid. Some hit and miss with the jokes, but they're also a bit of fun, and you keep up to date with all the fights and fight action and fight videos, and yeah, it's cool. It's fun. I like to interact with everyone as well. I answer everyone's messages, and I talk to people, and I like chatting to people from everyone around the world. It's fun.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'll back him up with his humour. It tickles me, and he also has a fantastic Santa outfit that he wore the other day as well.
Yeah, you couldn't wear that over here, could you? It'd be a little bit chilly.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
We use that as an excuse.
We don't mean there's a short beard. You know,
But yeah, honestly, John, it's been awesome for me and Mike to speak to you, because obviously we found you out via Mr. Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan podcast, and you know, from the first one that you did, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm going to check this shit out, and then I went on and watched it, and that was it. Then when you came back on, it's like, I love listening to you talk, I love talking, you know, the way you interact, you just got that energy about you, about sport.
I was going to say, and you seem to really like enjoy being on there yourself.
Yeah, you like a little kid on it yourself.
Oh yeah, Joe's he's so fun to hang out with. And then exactly like you guys, there's no script, there's no nothing. We just you sit down, he says hello, and then the rest is just freestyle, just chatting about whatever pops up. So yeah, it's really fun. There's no pressure.
I think that's the way the podcast like do better, is that if you can just free rein them and just take the chance, it just makes for a more fun experience. You know, it's just boom, just you know, let it loose. Yeah.
Well, John, we're going to let you go, and thank you very much for coming on, buddy. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get to speak to you again sometime.
Yeah, beautiful. Hopefully I'll see you. It's June 11, O2 Arena.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You heard it,
I'm
UK
gonna be there.
people.
Yeah, get over there and
Get a ticket.